all the technology studies I have done in telecommunication, all the frameworks that I have learned in telecommunications and the gateways that are used, the billing systems that are used, everything gets added. I was like mind blown with the transferable skills that are available between these two industries. Although we say telecom industry, IT industry, I can clearly see there is a lot of transferable skills between these two industries and the kind of work they are all doing.
Hello and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Priya George, and today's episode promises to offer powerful insights into the art of transformative leadership and strategic decision making. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Mr. Ranjith Raju Thomas, a seasoned leader with over 19 years of experience driving digital transformation across IT, banking, and telecom sectors. As the Executive Director of Low-Code Intelligence Solutions at JP Morgan, he leads cutting-edge initiatives that are shaping the future of technology in business. With expertise in SaaS, AI, RPA, and low-code platforms, Ranjith has worked alongside C-suite executives to reduce costs, boost customer satisfaction, and accelerate transformation. Known for building high-performing, diverse teams, he's a passionate advocate for inclusive work cultures that drive innovation. In today's episode, we'll explore leadership in a tech-driven world, how Ranjith's digital transformation strategies have shaped his career, and the vital role of corporate governance. So whether you're a current leader, aspiring executive, or tech enthusiast, this conversation will offer valuable insights and takeaways. So without further ado, let's dive into this engaging conversation with Ranjith. Welcome to show, Ranjith. We are so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Priya, for all the warm introduction that you have given me. And it's a pleasure to join you all today. I appreciate this invitation for the opportunity to be featured in this FTWL DIWDC program. I look forward to this discussion.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Ranjith, let's start by taking a step back and traveling through your incredible journey. From your early days in tech to leading digital transformation at JP Morgan, you've had a very diverse and impactful career. But before all the big titles and the milestones, what was that one moment or turning point early on in your career that truly made you realize this is what I want to do and I'm on the right path? So we'd love to hear about, the people, the mentors, experiences, or even challenges that shaped your journey and helped you get to where you are today. So over to you.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. So in fact, this is a very insightful question that reflects to myself. I would say dated back to early 2000s. Those days when I was a fresh graduate out of college as an electronics and communication engineering graduate, the telecommunication space is where I was introduced because that was my first job. Once you are into the telecommunication space, the kind of technology that you are introduced to is more into the telecom networkings, operating systems used there, the data centers, all the massive killer technologies in technology that is used in the telecom industry itself. Right. I was very fortunate to work very closely in some big giant industry leaders in telecom space those days. What I would prefer as a turning point is, in fact, my early learnings in telecom is actually leveraged as transferable skills in my later journey in the IT industry. Now, I'll be very specific about this example here. One is, in my telecom days, there was a short stint of work experience I had in a middleware company. They were more into RPO wireless, paging technologies, and mobile extensions for business process managements outside the classic enterprise divisions. Now, during those days, the technology wasn't that great for supporting those kind of extended, let's say the Palm devices used, the Windows operating systems was not that great. The internet was that, it was glitchy. I would say the infrastructure wasn't that great back then. But the knowledge that I gained during that entire work that I had been doing in that company really helped me connect the dots. I would say towards the end of 2010, when Android phones, iPhones, they were all in the industry, booming in the market. That's when I really connected back from my telecom knowledge base to the business process management space in the middleware industries where I was part of earlier. I quickly redecided and rejoined some of these earlier decisions that I had in that middleware company. And it was a career defining decision, I would say. In fact, all the technology studies I have done in telecommunication, all the frameworks that I have learned in telecommunications and the gateways that are used, the billing systems that are used, everything gets added. I was like mind blown with the transferable skills that are available between these two industries. Although we say telecom industry, IT industry, I can clearly see there is a lot of transferable skills between these two industries, and the kind of work they are all doing pretty much overlaps, although it is not known to many, but it actually overlaps in many places. And I just encashed in that journey with that one decision. I would also say, Priya, nothing is possible with just luck. All of this really needs a lot of hard work, continuous learning, always embracing change. And I would say luck, in my terms, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So it's that simple. You just keep on learning, continuous learning. So that's what I did in my early days and journeys during my career. I was always in search of learning and continuously gaining more knowledge, applying transferable skills. And all of this really helps in doing really high level architecture, system level designing, and more grow into leadership roles where you actually have a holistic view of a lot of things which are required for all of this later part of the roles that I was playing in different organizations.
Absolutely. One thing in your response that really struck me is the importance of learning and hard work, especially at the start of your career, starting from the ground up, that really shapes the person you become in your professional journey. So thank you. Yes, thank you for your response. Ranjith, you've had the privilege of working with clients across North America during your time as a senior lead business architect at ATG Business Solutions. And I'm sure that you were exposed to a wide range of unique challenges. But we are really curious, what were some of the most memorable or unexpected business hurdles you encountered in these regions, and how did you adapt your solutions to meet those challenges?
Great question, Priya. Thank you so much. So when we talk about North American region, especially since I have a very long list of organization experience with North American companies, most of my company exposure is towards the North American region. So it is one of the cutting edge technologies, I would say, that is used and researched and developed and applied much faster than any of the different parts of the world. So I was fortunate to be part of such large organizations or product companies or such technology-driven companies where all of these research were applied at the earliest possible when the rest of the world or the countries or markets were still catching up with some of these. And I would highlight some of the technologies that I was working initially. One was, since you already understood, I come from a telecom background. I was much earlier exposed to all this mobile extension of the enterprise level solutions. Now, mobility allows you to have field service extensions, or you can actually go digitization much faster than the conventional methods that were being very popular those days, because it was not available for many. And given that as a background, mobility was just one aspect of it. And when you also know the business process management space, which I was fortunate to be part of, you also get to increase efficiencies by improving and introducing a lot of automations in the space by implementing RPAs and robotic process automations or robotic desktop automations, and a lot of automations were available back then. So being part of that journey really shaped up my knowledge for the North American region specifically, because those days they were very highly targeting to have more efficient. The goal and the management had such structures in space where everybody was going like to be a market leader as soon as possible with all these innovations and accelerations they were all targeting to achieve. Now, coming back to the example that you highlighted, one is when I was joining ATG Business Solutions, the client we had then was a conglomerate of domain registration company, a web hosting company. They had almost 80 plus brands under them. Now, when you have so much of brands, mergers and acquisitions, keep on adding a lot of products and companies and domains and everything, you actually struggle as an organization to streamline all of these with efficiencies. And that was one of the striking reasons why I felt I will be able to add value with my knowledge and resources and whatever experience I had in the past to this kind of company who is growing and evolving to a newer stage. They were targeting different audiences. They were captivating new markets. So they wanted all this ready. But they were not having any of these basics when we were initially doing the evaluation. So I was very fortunate. I would again thank my senior leaders who trusted in me, because when we were submitting solutions or for review and planning and proposals, they were very happy to see what can be done, because the strategic alignments that we were doing based on their objective goals, they were all like, wow, this kind of automation is what we want. And different organizations, sub-departments and all that, let's say sales automation or the marketing groups, all of these groups were evaluated. We actually found a lot of space where the whole group can actually benefit out of the robotics projects that we were trying to drive as part of a new initiative that the strategically aligned and was really adapted because they understood the value that will bring in together for that group as a whole and in the world market where they were operating. So that was one lesson that I learned in larger organization, where when you work with the CEOs, the CIOs, the CMOs, all those C-suite and the executives in that space, the kind of interactions you have. I was not very big a leader back then. I was more of a business architect role. So I can easily connect the dots. And the learning, I would say, is I really learned how to connect with C-suites and leaders in very mature panel discussions, and the kind of discussions we were driving, the executives who were connecting with us, the kind of trust we were showcasing back to them, the expertise that we are bringing to the table, all that matters. And I'm really happy this client was adapting to some of the proposals, and it actually brought in a lot of streamlines and unification as part of those mergers and acquisitions they were driving. So I'm really happy a lot of technology driven benefits were introduced as part of the client relation we had back then in those days. To showcase some of the hurdles that you highlighted about, I remember one incident. One is the overall objectives were to do automations. And I realized since they also have contact centers in the Philippines region and in other regions outside North America, there was always a disconnect between regional management and the goals and visions they have all had in common. So some of these visions were not very clear because as part of M&As, there are multiple groups, multiple managements, multiple departments and teams and leaders. Many times as a supplier vendor for clients, I was having hurdles to convey the same message that we were trying to attempt, because not everybody was in the same boat, because some were aware, some were supporting the activity that we are doing automation, some are against the activity that we are doing automation. So you know the hurdles and the mixed bag of leaders in that space who may welcome you, who may not welcome you. So I did learn a lot of things on the ground, really engaging with super senior leaders in different brand specific departments, where some were very much energized that automation is happening. Some are not as well. So I really learned how to tackle that stakeholder management. That was one of the early lessons I had in those conversations of those company. Stakeholder management is absolutely necessary. We have to be discreet in certain space
Right.
where some of the overall intentions and strategic goals that we have cannot be shared with some groups because they may or may not benefit. So it is a very highly sensitive space when it comes to building efficiencies in certain departments and also targeting certain automation space where people get panicky about will I lose my job and all those kind of conversations, which is tough.
Correct.
And that was not my role to take care of. But in fact, I would say it's a learning lessons that we also should take as client, stakeholder, and vendor management partners in that space. Whoever is implementing should also be mindful about what you're trying to achieve. Information, too much information is also sometimes not very
Yes.
good in those kind of
True.
mergers and acquisition related streamlining and optimization processes.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, over to you, Priya.
Right. Thank you for sharing that to us. So it's clear that you turned all these, different diverse challenges into opportunities and learning experiences for you as well. Ranjit, throughout your remarkable journey, you've been honored with several prestigious accolades, including the PEGA GCS Circle of Excellence Award, which is a truly impressive achievement in
Thank
such a
you.
competitive field. But when you look back, what would you say has been the most rewarding part of receiving this recognition, especially when it's something that so few in your space achieve?
Thank you, Priya. Absolutely. It was an honor, and I was very humbled to receive that Excellence Circle of Excellence Award back then in 2019. If I have to reflect back, the journey itself was remarkable, I would say. In fact, I remember in 2016 when I reached out to my leaders stating that I have volunteered myself, stating that I will help you in building this robotic team in India, Bangalore office, and uh, just believe in me and put some trust in me so that we can build a ground up team for that uh, project and product space. Now, initially, not everybody was very confident about how we could do that because that product itself was very new in the product company that we were part of. And I said, given my backgrounds in different technologies that I've been part of, it's a learning journey and a challenge that I would want to take on myself. And I quickly learned. So, given my backgrounds in system architecture, business architecture, robotics architecture, I was quickly able to shape up something so quickly, like a MVP version of what we can do in that proposal. And the team was so happy. My leaders, my managers, they were like, okay, Ranjit, if you are able to do this, why don't you collect a few more members of our team, start training, and let's see how we can actually shape up this small team to something big in the future. So 2016 onwards, for all the efforts that I was doing, I was constantly winning WOW awards and Star Performer awards and a lot of awards in all my milestones that we were achieving. Now, I wouldn't say all of these awards is just because of my own hard work. It is a team collaborative hard work. I would definitely say all of these hard works is a team effect. My leaders believed in me, and my seniors who were supporting me, guided me, mentored me. They all have a role to play in getting and shaping
Right.
me in that role and getting into that positions.
Sure.
Now, one thing I want to highlight here is when I when I won the Circle of Excellence Award in the 2019, this was one of the impactful awards because we were globally doing a lot of impactful results from that small team, which was growing into a global recognitions later on point of time. Now, how I would say this also is part of a winning culture that is cultivated in the organization. Now, culture is very important. For me, an organization who always continuously recognizes its employees and identifies their milestones and success stories, it's like it's reflecting the positive culture and the inclusive work environments they are having with us and the organization, and showcasing to the industry in wide that these are the winning teams and the high performing teams that are shaping up the industry for the future. Now, I
Right.
also want to highlight that company that I was part of, they continuously and subsequent winners of great places to work in India, all because they had that winning culture mindset. And that is very, very
Right.
important.
Right. Um, so um, it's clear that the journey behind this award, um, isn't just about professional success, like you talked. It's also about personal growth, the people that who were with you in the journey, and the commitment to making a difference. So thank you for your response. Ranjit, you worked extensively in developing low-code product capabilities, which is a very exciting and transformative space for businesses today. Now, as more organizations look to adopt low-code solutions to drive their digital transformation, it's clear it's not just about technology, but also how it is implemented. From your experience, when businesses think of adopting low code solutions, what would you say are the key factors they should keep in mind to ensure that the implementation is successful?
Yes, absolutely, Priya. So low code solution is absolutely a game changer. But to get the most out of it, business really needs to be very mindful, and it has to be an intentional journey, because this is not
Correct.
a technical upgrade. In general, it's not a technical upgrade. So it is more of a strategic move. I would say there are several key factors. If you look at a holistic view of all of these implementations, there are several key factors that we have to pitch in and lay down the tracks so that everybody in the organization who are part of this program really is
Right.
aligned to the vision and the target model that we are operating about. Some of the key factors I would say is you need to have a very clear use case definitions, the business models that we are trying to achieve, the use cases that we are trying to conquer, it should be very clear. I would be very mindful of some implementations fail initially because they try to build anything and everything possible, which is not a real use case itself. Always align your business goals to the measuring success methods, and it should be metrics driven. I would always say that is one of the fundamentals to identify use case to a metrics driven, where you actually know your vision is towards the success. Now,
Correct.
all of this is possible when you always have the right set of audience for low code implementation. I would always say empowering the right people is one of the key domain everybody has to look at,
Right.
uh,
Right.
because you just can't enable anybody for this kind of because you need to have some level of tech curiosity or an inclination
Correct.
to have some sort of implementation on a no code, low code space. So identifying early those business users or operation users who can be our partners along with our technology pro partners, I would say a combination of both is always and always recommended, because that will always have the better governance, better IT involvement, and you can always avoid all those shadow IT problems which were always there in the industry practices, because not many were really controlling what the citizen developers were doing. So I want to say very good governance and IT involvement,
Right.
so that a strong leadership support and a cross-functional buy-in to ensure smooth implementation is done across all the different departments and sub-departments that we are targeting as part of this entire use case definition. So that allows you to have better control and
Mm.
governance. And you also have to have a very strong security and compliance. And one of the
Right.
key factors I would always say is always have your analytics and monitoring of all of these low code tools in place, because having built-in monitoring, logging, and usage insights, it will help you to understand in debugging and performance tuning and value tracking and all of these different aspects where you get to have maximum value out of all of this no code, low code implementation. Now,
Right.
one of the challenges I would always put in quotes is the whole adoption and the change management itself. And lastly, I would say never try to have vendor lock-ins because some legality and compliance and regulations always put the vendor logins in a less flexible space for a large
Right.
holistic program implementation. And lastly, I would say this would be considered as part of your flexibility and scalability of the platforms. When you actually avoid vendor lock-ins, it gives you more rooms to explore some other capabilities that are out there in the market, which are shaping up with better outcomes or business value driven performance and features in the product. So that is the overall key factors I would think should be a good start for anybody in this space.
Right. Thank you. That's a very insightful response. And moving on, Ranjit, you've already accomplished so much throughout your career. You've driven digital transformations to being recognized with prestigious accolades. But as you look ahead, what are the key aspirations or goals that excite you about the future? How do you envision the next phase of your career and the impact you want to create within the industry? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Priya. In fact, given my background and experience and learnings and all the knowledge and resources that I had been gathering all these years, I am very fortunate and I'm positioned in such way to be very resourceful in many of these industries and segmentations that we have in the current global practice of leaderships. Now, I was evaluating myself because of my curious learning nature. I always wanted to have an impact in the industry where we are not just restricting our knowledge and resources within that particular space. Let's say I started with telecoms, I started exploring into the IT industry. I slowly started exploring into other industries. Let's say now I'm in the banking industry. In between,
Right.
I was in the e-commerce industry. So, healthcare, finance related, life science related. So, any industry that we are part of, we should be able to share all of these resources in a much bigger audiences and leaders to learn and adapt from some of our learnings in some of the success stories that we have and some of the best practices we already did, the frameworks we use. So with that mindset in my thoughts, I always embraced continuous learning. I still do. And that is one of the reason I really onboarded to the programs like Directors Institutes, WDCs, and I've actually
Right.
taken up these ACDP programs and all that, which is going to introduce me to a lot more deeper insights into topics that I'm actually working on. So currently I work on uh, compliance related, risk related, legality issues. So when we are talking about all of these topics, you just can't get all of this information just overnight. It has to be slow
Correct.
learning, continuous learning. You have to always reach out and understand how the global leaders and global markets are doing, what are the national level, regional level informations you have. So to, to quickly brief and summarize, given my vast knowledge, experience, and learnings that I had gained so far, I am continuously learning and willing to extend my leadership abilities with other industry leaders and board members who are continuously exploring to implement strong leadership in organizations and drive strategic vision into a reality. So that's where I'm aiming to reach. And I'm very positive and optimistic that most of my learnings will be very, very resourceful and useful in that space.
So thanks for your response, Ranjit, and it's inspiring to hear about your future vision. We've seen how rapidly tech companies are scaling in the digital age. But with that growth comes a unique set of challenges, particularly around operational risk, governance, and compliancy. Now, given your extensive experience in these areas, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how they can strike that balance between innovation and risk management to ensure they're not just growing quickly, but growing responsibly. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, here today, I would say, just to give a context, AI is now. That's how it is. AI is actually shaping up a lot of innovation in every industry, every part of the world. Now, with that context, let's have some clear set of mindsets to have innovation strategy should be aligned with the kind of risk appetite all of us should have in the respective industry that we are part of. Now, right now, as we speak, I am in a financial industry. It's a very highly regulated industry where you just can't do any sort of innovation just for the sake of doing and implementing what is the latest. It's highly regulated. The risk appetite is always considered. So we have to define what is my acceptable risk levels. Now, if I have to speak from a broader angle, these are the kind of key factors all of us can start to think. What are the key factors that will define what are my risk level implementation issues if I go with the latest innovations that is happening in the market? So always have that balance, strike it correctly. Now, always test and learn. It is important we actually do the pilot versions, the prototyping of the versions, and build and understand if we actually can leverage any of these technologies and innovations without hampering much of the risk management space that we are part of. Now, I would always say the team that is always part of innovation, they should also be aware of the risk, all the risk related awareness. I would say all the teams should be aware of risk, and the risk awareness programs should be run in the whole of the departments that are part of innovation streams. And risk awareness is only going to encourage teams to leverage and implement things that will work, and they will always have a mindset what could go wrong in an advanced state. They will be able to think from a risk perspective and then implement solution, because they will always have that mindset because they are prepared well for risk awareness and risk management and risk mitigation and all that. So it's a very blanket cover answer that I just mentioned, which is very high level. And I would say ultimately the industry that we are part of, it's all about the data that we have. So using our data and understanding to de-risk decisions is very, very important. And the kind of data that should be part of the innovation programs that are being applied, are they medium risk, low risk, high risk, whatever categories that we want to apply. So make sure there is constant monitoring and adapt our innovation programs in such a way that you find any red flag much in advance, rather than it happening and causing any reputational damage or any other severe damage to the firm or the organization that we are part of. So plan early and pivot as early as possible. If there are failures, we have to quickly pivot and make strategic alignment that are aligned to the directions that we want to reach as part of our success metrics and the targeted operating models that we are aiming to achieve. So overall, I would say we should grow quickly, but grow responsibly.
Right. Thank you. And that's a very insightful response, Ranjit. And I love how you highlighted the balance between growth and governance. As we near the end of the interview, Ranjit, now that you've joined Directors Institute, we'd love to hear about your experience so far. What motivated you to be a part of this community? You did mention that you are a lifelong learner. And how has being involved with Directors Institute influenced your approach to leadership and governance? We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. In fact, this is one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life as part of a learning curriculum activity. My enrollment with DIWDC community is absolutely fantastic. And I'm so thrilled the energy and the kind of leaders that are part of this community has so much to share and network, and the learning is I would say collegial we are very collaborative learning space. I love the way different industry leaders are sharing their perspectives, because at the end of the day, it's all about having perspectives as well. And when we all push ourselves towards out of our comfort zone to a next level of leadership, it's not easy, because we need some very senior leaders out there who have done it, who had already paved the path to the boardrooms or some senior leadership roles. We want some guidance from such senior leaders to hold our hands initially, to guide us what is right, what is wrong, what is the absolute methods and methodologies we should apply in this space. We have to be very mindful in this entire space. And as I was learning all of these programs, I am so much in awe of information. I am exposed to all the national level legalities, the regulations, the compliance, the governance. I was never exposed this much in any time of my career path, because I was always in the MNC space, the North American region of activities. I never learned deep down from a national level. Now, when I'm
Correct.
looking at all the national level regularities and compliance, I'm so mindful now that, okay, if I do something like this, these are the conditions and sections and schedules and all those legalities governing those rules. Now I am having a rational decision-making process because I'm well informed. So I would always say, keep learning and continuous learning. That motto I have to always embrace, because I can never stop learning. And this journey is a continuous journey. And when we have seniors in the industry, especially, I would especially take names of Mr. Sishan, Mr. Iqbal, Mr. Hewal, and our professor who was teaching, Mr. Sundareshan sir. So all of these members and the DI, WDC, all of the faculties you have there, very supportive, very much encouraging, because many times several of us feel that this is such a heavy topic. Am I even ready to take all of this? But the kind of confidence that is being instigated to all of us through all of these leaders are very motivative. And I'm very, very happy that I'm part of WDC DI programs, and with the ACDP program that I'm enrolled with, all the IDP program, the ESG program, the digital directors, all of these will really shape me and motivate me to the next level of my leadership roles. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm confident that I will add value.
Right. It's great to hear how the Directors Institute had such a positive impact on your leadership journey. As we wrap up today's episode, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful insight shared by Mr. Ranjith. Leadership at its core, it's about embracing change, building inclusive teams, and empowering others to innovate and succeed. Today's conversation reminded us of the immense value in not just managing businesses, but in shaping them with purpose, vision, and strategic governance. Let it be a reminder that leadership is about more than making decisions, it's about setting the course for the future and leading with integrity. So, Ranjit, thank you so much for being on FaceTime with Leaders, and thank you for sharing with us your experiences with your examples and anecdotes. I'm sure the audience will walk away enlightened with a lot of wisdom, a lot of advice that is shared by you. So thank you once again for joining us on the show and answering our questions.
Thank you, Priya. And as a closing note, I want to always highlight Sir Isaac Newton's wordings. If I have seen far, it's always by standing on the shoulders of the giants. And I always remember all the legends who were there before us, who had done and paved path for all of us to continue this to the future. I look forward for all the leaders and networks that we have in WDC and DI. Thank you so much. It was a great opportunity for me to speak with you and to be with all of you in this room today. Thank you.
What a thought, and rightly said. And thank you for that, Ranjit. And for our audience members, we hope this episode left you inspired, motivated, and ready to continue shaping your leadership path. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and striving for excellence. Stay tuned for more impactful stories and insights in our next episode. Catch you soon on another episode of FaceTime with Leaders. This is your host, Priya George, signing off. Take care. Thank you.